Laith from Wineberry Hill here, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate how I make a simple, fresh tea that I use to reduce inflammation. Especially lately with my Lyme's disease acting up, this particular tea has become an important part of my morning routine. And it should be noted that many of the ingredients in this tea are useful for other inflammatory conditions. Think arthritis, psoriasis, Crohn's disease, colitis, things like that. But these ingredients, they're not a replacement for established treatments for those conditions. Rather, they're an incredible support for those treatments. Okay, so the first thing that I do when making this tea is I start the water boiling and then I head out to the garden. Your comments are critical in making YouTube know that I even exist. And if you want to see me make an even bigger fool of myself, I left the outtakes in at the end of this video. Now that the kettle is started, and with my French press in hand, let's start at the oregano. Oregano packs an incredible antioxidant punch, and it's great at fighting free radicals. On top of that, oregano has antibacterial properties that some studies have suggested can reduce the bacterial load of conditions like Lyme disease. Now, the flavor of oregano packs a nice, spicy note. Okay, let's head over to the sage. Ah, the wisdom of sage. Now, sage has anti-inflammatory properties, and it can treat everything from a sore throat to conditions like Lyme disease. And it's also in early research suggesting that it can help some of the effects of cognitive and memory decline that are often associated with Lyme disease. And you might have noticed that I'm picking the top leaves. I do that with almost all of these plants that I'll be harvesting because a lot of times potency is concentrated in the new growth, but I work my way down the plant. So if that's not available, I'll just grab one of the older leaves. Okay, let's head over to the chamomile. Okay, over here at the chamomile. I think most of us know that chamomile is beneficial for reducing stress, relaxing us. But what you might not know is that chamomile contains a flavonoid called epigenin, and epigenin has anti-inflammatory properties. So that makes chamomile a great choice to add to this kind of a tea. And on top of all of that, it smells and tastes incredible. And this is another example of getting the nice fresh flowers to add to your tea. Okay, next up, plantain. All right, now despite what people who believe in the tenets of the suburban lawn will tell you, broadleaf plantain is not a weed. I love this particular plant for this tea. In fact, in many ways, broadleaf plantain is the star of this particular show. And that is because it is famous for its anti-inflammatory and astringent properties. And it's something that's been used in this way for generation upon generation. And so it's kind of a tried and true anti-inflammatory. But it does have a little bit of a bitter taste, or it can. Sometimes it doesn't, but it can. And so that's why I like to group it with all of these other different kind of more positively flavored herbs, because it's not all about flavor at the end of the day, but sometimes if it helps you drink it, well, then you need to do that. And that brings up the last herb that I add to this tea, mint. Now, obviously, mint is included in this particular tea because of its flavor. It's also a digestive aid. But, you know, some gardeners have sort of a bad attitude about mint. And, you know, that's because mint has a tendency to take over. Well, that's actually one of the reasons why I love it so much. On my property, I love to, find a spot that's not particularly productive, and I'll put the mint in and just let it run. And then that way I have fresh mint for tea like this during the spring and the summer and the fall. And then in the winter, I have lots and lots of dried mint to add to the various teas that I have been drying over the year. Okay, let's head back inside. After letting it steep for about 5 minutes, it's ready to drink. Now, sometimes I won't actually drink it right away when it's hot. I'll put it in the fridge and let it cool down and drink it as a cold tea. There aren't really any hard and fast rules when it comes to the benefits of drinking cold or hot tea. It kind of depends on what your preference is. Also, I want to make sure that you take away from this video that there aren't any hard and fast rules about the ratio of how much of this herb to that herb. That's pretty much something that's based on your tastes. As long as the ingredients in this tea aren't, counter-indicated to something that you're already taking, you're not allergic to them, etc., then it kind of doesn't matter. And while it's not a cure-all, it definitely can help lessen the symptoms of inflammation caused by inflammatory illnesses. Kind of part of my morning routine. Let's start at the oregano. The oregano, that's excellent at reducing free radicals. It's also, can't remember my lines. All right, with fresh, all right, now that the kettle is started, with French, holy cow. All right, now that the water is started, with French, the wisdom of sage. Now, sage has anti-inflammatory. I know, save it. Just give me a minute, okay? Thank you. And on top of that, there are some early researchers, there is some early research, and epigenin has an anti-inflammatory. But you might not know that chamomile contains, thanks. It's famous for its ability to manage wound care, and I have no idea what I'm saying. Despite what people who believe in the tenets of the suburban lawn will tell you, clearly I need to be adding more sage to this particular tea for its cognitive and memory benefits because, wow. I'm curious, do you have any go-to teas or herbs that you use when it comes to inflammatory illnesses? And I just wanted to finally make one big thank you note to every single subscriber to this channel. We blew past 50,000 subscribers so quickly, I wasn't even expecting it. So, thank you. You specifically. And, as always, if you like this video, you might like these.